sorted. The last point I put down there, parents, powerful allies in transforming services. Now, believe it or not, councils and health organisations actually want to run good services. They do, and it matters to them. Things like the star ratings matter, the inspection reports matter. Parents are very powerful allies in the change process. Sometimes it's quite difficult to get change at these large organisations. You've got an awful lot of staff to get on board with the same ideas all at the same time and to get them to stop doing old things and start doing new things. 5 minutes from a parent talking to a big staff group can be worth hours of talking from me and reports from me and that sort of thing. So parents are actually very powerful allies in this process. I'm just going to finish on what I see as some of the factors that I haven't yet mentioned that contribute to success. First of all, I think having ongoing ways to raise issues and to solve problems. Now, there is a place for one-off consultations and one-off surveys and things like that, and I've spoken a bit about that. But I think what's been very valuable is to have an ongoing dialogue with parents, and there's two reasons for that. One, it means that as issues arise, they can be raised as and when they arise, and you don't have to specifically go out and ask. But two, raising issues is one thing, solving problems is quite another, and solving problems does take dialogue, and it's been really useful to have the Parents Forum with whom to have an ongoing discussion about how we deal with some of the problems that have been raised. Sorting out what to do with personal experiences. Now, you can't keep personal experiences out of this. We wouldn't have anything to talk about if people didn't talk about what's happened to them. But there is a point at which one has to say, actually, your issue is a private issue. We need to talk after the meeting about your particular problem because it isn't something that has general applicability. Sometimes, though, your particular problem will illustrate a wider problem with the system, and that's where we do have to talk about it. I think, and I think if you can be clear about that, it helps to keep things in perspective and to keep things moving on. This partnership, not combat, I put. I know there are parents out there who are very angry about what has happened to them. And I know there's parents out there who think that the only way to get change is to threaten to go to the press or threaten to go to the courts or whatever. I mean, I would say that that isn't really going to work. From my perspective, that is not going to work. What works? I wouldn't say you need to sort of jettison the right to do that altogether if that's the only way that you can get heard. But if you can get heard, then moving forward in the spirit of partnership is much more productive. Take people with you, much more productive. It's really important in any sort of participation that people get feedback about what's happened as a result of their views and comments being heard. And so I say having some sort of feedback loop so people can see that where they've said something, some notice has been taken of it, and something's been done as a result of it. One of the main ways that we do that in Sutton is through a quarterly newsletter that Contact a Family send out for us, as well as the occasional open meeting where we give feedback about what we've been doing. And the last point that I'm going to make is that I don't think you can do this on the cheap. And I say that because actually I have to confess that we've tried that in Sutton, and it really doesn't work. The organisation involved in sort of maintaining databases, address lists, sending out information to people, organising meetings, forum meetings and other meetings, dealing with all the individual inquiries that come out on the back of the participation work, all of that does need support. And unless you've got some fantastic volunteers who are willing to give up oodles and oodles of time, I don't see how you can do that on the cheap. And if you're going to be serious about participation also, you have to bear in mind that it's just parents that you want to participate. Whatever you do with parents, you've got to replicate that with children and young people as well. And there the issues are even more complicated in many cases. So I think authorities need to realise that to take participation seriously means putting some resources into it.